There lived a family in a quiet corner of the city. This family had a 12-year-old girl named Sophia who was in the 6th grade. Sophia was a bright and energetic girl who loved spending time outdoors, and her favorite activity was playing tennis. Almost every day, Sophia would head out to the nearby court where she practiced her serves and volleys with great enthusiasm. One afternoon, after coming home from school, Sophia dropped her bag by the door and sat at the kitchen table with a long face. She opened her notebook, stared at the pages blankly, and then rested her chin in her hands with a troubled expression. Her mother, who had just stepped in from the backyard garden, noticed the unusual silence and walked over to her daughter. Pulling up a chair beside Sophia, she gently asked what was on her mind. Sophia explained that she had received a poor grade in science. But that wasn't what was truly upsetting her. She shared that her close friend and neighbor Emma always seemed to score at the top of the class in science. No matter how hard Sophia tried, she just couldn't seem to keep up. Hearing this, Sophia's mother brought her a warm cup of herbal tea to help her relax. Once Sophia had calmed a little, her mother led her outside to their small backyard garden, which was filled with blooming flowers, shady trees, and a peaceful, quiet atmosphere. "Sophia," her mother began, "I want you to understand 3 important lessons from what happened today. These are lessons that will stay with you as you grow older." Sophia, who deeply admired her mother, was a little puzzled but leaned in with curiosity. "Can you explain those lessons, Mom?" she asked. "You will discover each lesson one by one through a challenge I'll give you," her mother replied with a warm smile. After a brief pause, her mother continued, "For the first lesson, I want you to invite Emma to play tennis with you tomorrow afternoon." Sophia nodded, eager to find out what her mother had in mind. The next morning, the weather was bright and breezy, and Sophia went to school with her usual energy. That afternoon, after the final bell rang, she invited Emma to join her at the nearby tennis court. As expected, Sophia, who practiced almost every single day, played brilliantly. She moved swiftly across the court, returning shots with precision and winning the match comfortably. Meanwhile, Emma, who had never really played tennis before, struggled to get the ball over the net. She laughed at her own mistakes and tried her best, but the game was clearly far outside her comfort zone. Despite everything, both girls had a wonderful time together. Afterward, Sophia freshened up and rushed to find her mother in the garden. "Mom, I played tennis with Emma today. What's the first lesson you wanted to teach me?" Her mother smiled knowingly and said, "Tell me how it went." Sophia described everything, her quick footwork, her winning shots, and how Emma wasn't familiar with the game at all. Her mother nodded thoughtfully and said, "Look at this, Sophia. Emma may not be good at tennis, but she excels at science. And while science feels difficult to you right now, you shine on the tennis court. We are all different, and that's perfectly okay. Each of us has our own strengths and our own passions." Sophia felt a quiet sense of understanding settle over her. She realized there was no need to measure herself against Emma. But curious as always, she immediately asked about the second lesson. "For the second lesson," her mother said, "I want you to pay close attention to Emma tomorrow at school. Notice how often you see her engaged with anything related to science, experiments, questions, observations, anything." The following day, Sophia went to school with sharp, attentive eyes. Throughout the day, she quietly observed Emma, watching how her friend moved through the world. After school, Sophia spent some time practicing tennis until her mother called her in for the evening. Over dinner, Sophia eagerly reported her findings. "Mom, Emma was fascinated by everything today. She noticed how the sunlight bent through a glass of water at lunch. She was reading about planets during free period. She even stopped to study the pattern of a spider's web outside the classroom window. Her mother smiled warmly and said, "That is the second lesson, Sophia. Emma is good at science because she is genuinely curious about it. She doesn't just study it, she lives it. If you want to improve at something, you need to engage with it often, even in small and simple ways. You can start by simply noticing the world around you, the way Emma does." Sophia smiled, realizing that improvement comes not just from effort but from genuine curiosity and everyday practice, just as she had grown in tennis by simply playing every afternoon because she loved it. Without waiting, Sophia leaned forward and asked about the third and final lesson. Her mother thought quietly for a moment, then said, "For the last lesson, I want you to honestly think about how much stronger Emma is in science compared to you." Sophia considered this carefully and said, "I think Emma is about twice as prepared as I am. She probably spends twice as much time on it." "All right," her mother said. "Then for your final challenge, I want you to study science twice as hard tomorrow." Sophia took a slow breath and nodded with determination. The next day after school, Sophia sat at her desk and opened her science textbook. She worked through one chapter, then pushed herself through another. But after 2 hours of intense focus, a dull ache crept behind her eyes, and before long, her head drooped and she drifted off to sleep right at her desk. Some time later, she felt a gentle hand on her shoulder. "Come and have dinner, then meet me in the garden," her mother said softly. Sophia joined her mother outside feeling deflated, her shoulders low. "I'm sorry, Mom," she said quietly. "I tried so hard, but my head started hurting and I fell asleep before I could finish." Her mother drew her close and gently stroked her hair. "Sophia, this is what happens when we force ourselves to work hard at something we feel no connection to. Effort alone can only take us so far before the mind grows weary. But when you practice something you genuinely love, like tennis, you never have to force yourself. The dedication comes naturally, and it feels light even when it's hard." After a gentle pause, her mother offered her the final piece of wisdom. "So if you want to truly grow and become skilled at something, either pursue what you love, or take the time to discover what is lovable about what you're learning." Sophia looked at her mother with deep admiration. She thought about how she had never once needed to remind herself to practice tennis. She thought about how Emma's eyes lit up at a spider's web. And she made herself a quiet promise, to walk through the world a little more curiously from that day forward. She carried those 3 lessons with her, gently and gratefully, for the rest of her life.